Hello, my name is Scott Molesky, and today we're going to look at SmartArt. The agenda for this topic is going to include a look at the applications this video applies to, a look at the SmartArt types, how do we start a piece of SmartArt, we'll edit the text in that SmartArt, we'll add some text effects to the text we just added, we'll then add shadow, reflection, and 3D rotation to the entire piece of SmartArt. The applications this video applies to are included in Microsoft Office and include Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, and even Microsoft Excel. So let's get started. I'm going to exit into PowerPoint, which is where I'll demonstrate the various tasks. To create a piece of SmartArt, we go up to Insert in the menu and choose SmartArt. SmartArt is launched. I'd like to zoom in on this so we can see the various options a little bit more clearly. There we go. Oh. So first you can see them all at once, or you can see that there are different list possibilities. As we look through the various SmartArts, you'll see that you might be able to create them with some difficulty, but SmartArt makes it easy to create them as you go. You don't have to plan on how to draw them, you simply fill in the text. So here's a hierarchy for org charts or for planning diagrams, relationships between different components, a matrice, various pyramids. The picture options allow you to add an image to the various squares in the SmartArt. And there's even some that came from office.com. I'm going to go up to Process, and I'm going to grab this SmartArt. The reason I'm grabbing this one is it's not overly complex, but it will allow us to see what we want to see as we create SmartArt. First thing I'm going to do is going to size it a little bit so it fits on my page. There we go. I do that by simply grabbing the corner handle and dragging inwards to make it smaller. You'll see that there are text boxes waiting for text, which corresponds to this section over here. If this section is never not visible, there is a little arrow if you don't want it to be visible. You click the little arrow and it hides. You click the arrow again and it comes back. So the first piece of text is the text inside the little circles. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Ideas. The next set of text is the text underneath, and I'll call this Brainstorming. The next piece of text, which I could do again over here in the type your content here, or I can actually type it directly into the SmartArt itself. I want that first P capitalized. And here we'll put in tangible. Now I can hide this text area and take a look. Somebody click outside of it and take a look at it. It looks a little plain. What we can do is we can add some text effects. So I can highlight the text, go to the Format ribbon, and as we've seen in previous demonstrations, use text effects to add a shadow. I can do that to each of my text boxes just to give us some practice. Now there's a slight drop shadow which gives it a little bit of dimension. Now before I move on to adding a shadow, it looks kind of plain, being just these shades of blue, which do match to the background, but I would like my SmartArt, I'm going to choose the whole SmartArt, to be a little more colorful. So I can go to Design ribbon and choose Change Colors. And there's not a whole lot of variation, though we could probably get away with this one. It has a variety of colors in it. Now with the whole SmartArt selected, so I simply choose the SmartArt so nothing inside is selected, only the outside, I can add a shadow. To do that I go to Format and I go to Shape Effects. And again go to Shadow and choose your desired shadow. Now does that shadow the entire, all of the objects inside? No. You need to add them individually. To do that is a little bit more of a pain, but it's easy enough. We select the first one, hold down the Shift key. The Shift key allows me to keep clicking on different pieces of the SmartArt. So I simply go around clicking on all the little boxes or circles. And now I can go to Shapes, Shadow, and add a drop shadow to all of them. Now, if I want, I can add a reflection, but I don't want a reflection on those top circles because they're too far away from the bottom to actually have an accurate shadow, or excuse me, reflection. I'm going to choose all the other options though. Go back to the Format ribbon, choose Shape Effects, Reflection, and I'm going to choose the one that has a little bit of a gap. It doesn't get too far into it. So now I can see that there's a little gap between each of the components. So now we have a reflection. And that's a pretty good piece of SmartArt. But if you want to add something a little more dynamic, we can select the SmartArt and affect the whole thing at once by going to Format, Shape Effects, and choosing a 3D rotation. And I'm going to choose this 3D rotation, which gives it a little bit of a trailing dimension, or we can pick something a little more severe. That's too severe. There we go. I'm going to drag it just a little bit more to my left. There we go. So now we have 3D SmartArt with a little bit of dimension flying upwards with some reflection. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you've learned something today.